Yes. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Just a reminder, the board in attendance and those among the board, so please silence your mobile devices. And I will ask, I'll ask our director to lead us an invitation.
Lord, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time to gather and to celebrate our community, God, and all that's going on. I thank you for the commissioners and what they do day in and day out. I just thank you for the position to be here, God. I just thank you for all you do for us each and every day. Amen.
I will ask Commissioner Hardy to lead us in the pledge.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, if you will make yourselves aware of the ethics and conflict of interest reminder. Are there any disclosures of any ethics or conflicts of interest tonight? Hearing none, I'll entertain that we. Oh, I'm sorry, back up. Item number 6 is additions or changes to the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we not the agenda. So moved. All those in favor, vote by usual sign. Item number 8 is approval of the minutes from August 1st. Having time to review those minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve those as they are presented. Second. All those in favor, vote by usual sign. Motion carries. Item number 9A is a discussion or a presentation on our community child protection team. And with that, I'll ask our director to come forward and talk to you guys a little bit about that. I think she has a handout for you.
I do.
I need to help you hand those out.
Good evening. I hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend and hopefully a day off, at least one. I wanted to bring forth our community child protection team. This is a mandated community that we as DSS are commissioned to do with the community and all of the members. We are to have this meeting at least quarterly. In the past, it's been done monthly, but they say at least one time a quarter. This committee is a group of representatives who represent the community to look at like cases of neglect, abuse, that sort of thing, and just to look at gaps in the community to make sure that we are addressing needs such as like safe sleep, if we have an increase in SIDS, that kind of thing. We look at that as a community, as a team, to make sure there's nothing that we need to change within the community and help to educate everyone in the community. So that's just one of the examples. But
Wendy, if I may, this came about as a part of a law passed in 1991 that kind of mandates this. This is, I think, you'll help me here if you will. This is I watched the training video that's been completed, so a few thousand hours of instruction since then. But it seems like the message I got was that the DSS boards kind of want some of the members on this team, but this board kind of operates independent of DSS somewhat. Is that correct? Did I get ahead of you?
yes, that's fine. So yeah, some of the tasks that the CCPT does is they review active cases. So like if there are cases that are going on in the community, and let's say, for example, is in the schools and they want to look at that closer to make sure that we as DSS are putting in all the supports that they need. It really just kind of looks deeply at these cases, and then also looks here again at the gaps. There's two roles of this committee. And we had talked about this a little while back, and I know you expressed an interest in serving on it. But when we also got into really looking at it as a whole, and there's a training video that we shared with some folks, and really just trying to set it up correctly and how it's supposed to be done. And so, yes, so like what Brandon was saying, there are 11 team members that have to serve on this. And there are 2 of those 11 that the county commissioners must appoint. And those are the ones highlighted below. And then there's 5 extra committee members that can be appointed if you so choose to do so.
So for clarification's sake, some of those, we don't have the legislative authority to appoint, like the DA's office to appoint
Just,
who they want to really. So some of those, we don't really have any say over who goes on. This list, some of these people, we got together, and I'll get there. Here, so we got together last week and kind of come up with this list of people that we thought would be a good fit or likely to come on this board. So some of these folks we've not contacted yet. We kind of wanted to bring this list to you guys and see what y'all thought about it, and maybe it's going to move forward from there.
and some of these folks, have been serving already. And I'll mention those that have been serving that. So of course, myself for the past year, Sean, as our program manager, we have had Sheriff Street to serve. We've had Angela Atkins to serve, and the RHA representative, and our guardian ad litem. So those are the folks that have currently served in the past.
You have term limits on this board.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, it may be with what in the training. I didn't ever see the video. I think we come up with our own bylaws, so right, or the board with our own bylaws. It's more independent.
Yes, and a lot of folks just kind of, instead of reinventing the wheel, they change
Seems like-
here and kind of.
Seems like that was in the video. That's one of the first things they did was bylaws. I guess that would be addressed. Really, I guess the scope of what we have, authority over is those highlighted ones in, if we want to have 5 additional ones. And I think, we, after kind of getting together and talking about it, we thought maybe having some 5 additional commission appointed board members would give us what we want, yes, accountability from a commissioner standpoint.
So it's the ones at the bottom are their recommendations.
Just a
Yeah,
recommendation.
that's really awesome.
We don't have to do those 5 extra. Those are ones that when we met, we just kind of talked about the ones that are out in the community, working with our children and families.
So the 2 up top, the DSS board member, Jeff had expressed an interest in that, so we put Jeff on it. And then the other one was Donald Street. We can appoint, those are the 2 we have to appoint. We don't have to appoint Jeff or Donald, but that's who we recommend, I guess.
Should I have another?
Some of those, like DA's office, they get to appoint who they want. Same way with school. The LME will appoint the mental health person. GAL appoints who they want. And I guess the health department will appoint who they want.
I think it has to be.
Has to health record. Yes, some of them, there's no leeway. It's automatic, yeah.
And Dr. North is on the board.
Dr. North is currently on the board.
Okay.
We've had a different denomination, but yes, he is currently.
we discussed.
He is recommended again.
Well, I discussed the possibility of having our new, our medical director. Okay, so for that. I thought that'd be a good role for him. That'd be my personal recommendation, but
When does this board meet?
In the past, they were doing monthly, but then participation just wasn't as strong, that sort of thing. So that's why we thought if we went to quarterly, it would be maybe a little bit better, but it was meeting around 3 in the afternoon on Tuesdays. I forget if it was like the second Tuesday of the month, something like that. But we haven't set the date yet.
and me and Wendy both have some typed up notes on what we took away from the training video. And I think we'd be happy with both of us to send those over to you if you're just curious. And
In the video, I mean, I'd be happy to share the video.
video is 3 hours. It's still in there. So, you want the clip notes, they're available. Yeah.
But one of the things that this board does, I know you guys have seen our community child protection team. We presented a couple of months ago, and that was something I think Steve, you signed off for us. And here again, that was a report of the things that had occurred the previous year. So we just want to get it up and running, and be more following the guidelines.
I'll just put plain speak, that's the speak I like. Wendy's trying to really take this thing and make it what it should be. So she's trying to really do a good job with it rather than just a checkbox. So, yeah. And I think maybe it's some checkbox for a while. I don't think we need to vote on tonight, do we? Just
We can't schedule the meeting. We're technically should be meeting in September. If we do it quarterly, like our first meeting would be September. We would hope to do it maybe by the end of September, but if we have to push it to October, it's fine. So.
I mean, I guess really what we need tonight is we just kind of, what we really want to do is show you, bring a list of people we thought would be a good fit. And really only the 2 on top are the ones we have to, and then the 5 on the bottom are the ones we could do. And I guess we wanted some direction as to, first of all, if everybody's okay with the 2 up top, the law enforcement and the DSS board member being chair. Then the 5 on the bottom, just keep in mind, we've not reached out to, we wanted to bring them to y'all before we said, hey, would you want to do this? And so we kind of talked it over and thought maybe having 5 additional board appointments might be a good, just a good idea to have. Now, I personally always like having more elected accountability over any board that we can.
Yeah, it's on the ground, folks that are actually in the home seeing things day to day.
Not wanting to delay it, but not wanting to rush it either. And I certainly don't want to delay, your process of getting the schedule off. Is this something that, even though we don't have a DSS meeting at our second meeting of the month, could we take action on this the second meeting of the month
I think we could, because the board of commissioners actually,
at a regular commissioners meeting?
yeah, according to the statute, the commission board is one.
Well, here's what I'm gonna recommend, Mr. Chairman, to the rest of the board, that we take 2 weeks to review this and let this be put on our docket at our commissioners meeting to act on that night. And in that way, if you have to set a meeting up at the end of September to stay on a quarterly basis, then we can do that.
Or so just for, I think it's a good idea. Are we okay for her to reach out to these folks that's on this list, or do you want to think about if these are the right people for the next 2 weeks? I guess, what do you want us to do in the next 2 weeks? Or,
Well, I guess us as board members, my thought would be, I mean, we can do it tonight if everybody's fine with this. I mean, it appears to me that y'all have put a lot of time and thought into the bottom five. I think you've definitely got some boots on the ground with those as well as the ones up at the top. So I'm fine either way, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for the rest of the board members, but I thought I'm fine with making a motion to vote on it tonight as it sits, or I'm fine to give you, the county commissioners, or us, the county commissioners, 2 weeks to look at things. If we have any questions, we can contact the director with that, but I personally, I would not rather delay this to an October meeting for us to vote on this, strictly for the reason that she needs to get the first meeting set in September. Everything will be in place.
I like that idea, or I guess just for clarification, I say that all the time, just for clarification's sake. So just for clarification's sake, are we okay with, I like the idea of voting on those at the next meeting. We okay with her contacting the people that's on the list and asking them, because some may not.
Well, I think definitely you would need to make sure they're willing to do this, number one.
I mean, have
Number two, I would recommend that our director be on the agenda for next month, next meeting. In case one of these names said no, that you would have a backup name or somebody that you'd already talked to. So I think it would be perfectly fine. I think definitely you need to contact these folks, let them know what you're doing. Are you interested in serving on this? If everybody agrees, it appears that it's pretty cut and dry, unless a board member here has a concern or another recommendation. And the only thing that would change that if when you were to contact somebody and they said, well, you know, I really don't think that's my calling right now, or I don't have time to commit to this, and that 2 weeks would give her ample time to come up with another name, and she can bring either this same list back to us at our next meeting, or she could bring this list with the changes back that you had contacted.
I think that's a good plan. I like that idea.
Fran, I've sent you the video. Do you want to forward that to everyone, or would you like me to send it out?
I'll send it to her with, you want to send your notes and I'll send mine too. So I'll send a clip notes to you. We'll send the video to you. Drink coffee and instead of following.
That's might be a little sketchy, but
It was on my computer, so this don't have coffee things on.
Wendy, you're working as director over the last year. I'm assuming this has been in place.
It has been in place. Sean has done it monthly.
Okay.
Sure has.
And from what I'm hearing from you, this is going to give your agency more eyes on the ground, or eyes in the community and feet on the ground.
As well as meeting the standards that we should be meeting as far as the required members.
Okay.
Because there have not been those required folks there, and that's not anything Sean has or has not done. It's just getting clear guidance of who needs to be there.
Seems to me like my takeaway was it's just another avenue for trying to problem solve. Some needs aren't even.
I guess where I'm going, and I don't know how to correctly say this without maybe it sounding bad, but you know, it's an active board, not just that a board meets because it has to meet state requirements. You know, that's, and you know, I'm not saying that's the way it's been in the past. I hope it's not been that way in the past. You know, just to have a board meet because the state says you got to have a board, but actively, aggressively work together
Maybe is this the same board? I know we used to have a board that we had a paramedic on and they reviewed like child. Is that the same board?
It is not, but
Okay.
this is it's kind of under that umbrella. It falls under that. So another area where this committee would come into play is if we as DSS are notified that a child that we have worked with in the past year has passed away, then we have to notify the state in order to prompt that child fatality review, which is a big deal.
Which is another board.
Oh.
It is another board.
Health department, are they ultimately
The health
responsible for that?
department is responsible for the child fatality board.
Could you say that again?
The health
Well,
department, which part, all of it?
No, just the
Okay.
health department.
The health department is responsible for the child fatality review.
How many people do they have on that board? Wendy?
And those members are almost identical to this list. However, there are some like the medical examiner, EMTs, or some of that medical component to it.
And is that board required to meet on a regular basis?
They have, there's some stipulations about how long they have to review cases, is that correct?
Please.
Oh, I think it's important, this board is not public, so because they're review cases, so they're probably asking me, one's asking all about voting on issues. So, yeah, they are a vote, I guess they are a voting board, but not a public board, so.
Right, yeah. If we actually review a case and talk about a case, we're technically supposed to go into closed session. Just like it is, and there are confidentiality agreements and that sort of thing.
It sounds like it was close to public anyway.
Correct.
I didn't understand that point. Close session, it's close to public.
Pretty much.
So this doesn't fall under the open meeting law.
That was my takeaway.
Yeah,
Over review cases.
Yeah.
And it's just children too, there's no elderly homes.
Yeah.
We talked about putting Kathy, Laurel on that, it's just children.
and you really want it to be anyway, because of our small community. I mean, we can talk about one day, pretty much make connections.
Well, I mean, I didn't know we had to go into an open session and then go back into a closed session. And the formality of everything and then, so it sounds like it's a little bit different. It's not a bad thing.
Any other questions on the CC? I can always get this out. CCPP. Child Community Protection Thing. Let's say that. All right, moving on to our director's update. And that's you again.
So August continues to be busy for us as well. We kind of continue to update you. We did have our last enforcement and NCC on the 9th of August. Our next one is the 13th of September. Sean and I met with Lori Gilchrist once again, along with Trinity Episcopal Church on the 4th of August, and it was a great meeting. We got to meet with some of the church members to really share what DSS is doing, our need for foster families. We got to talk about guardianship, that kind of thing in this meeting and how things are changing. So that was a great meeting. They welcomed us. And we also did a meeting with Lori Gilchrist, Jennifer Garland and I, my food nutrition supervisor and energy supervisor. We met with her to share the energy assistance program and food nutrition. And that's going to be an article for the newspaper so folks can hear again about what's available for them for energy assistance and food and nutrition, of course. So be looking for that in the near future, that article. We are hosting a Medicaid enrollment broker event. There are going to be all these changes coming down with Medicaid in the near future. And we're really just trying to get the word out to the community of what that looks like and what that means. as well as, our agency, helping them understand what's happening. So we haven't got the date nailed down exactly yet, but it's either going to be the 27th or the 29th of September. And I think that's going to be at the Senior Citizen Center. Kathy and I are partnering with that. Really hoping to capture some of our older population that would be there already and share this information with them as well. So, but we hope to, the first part of the day will be like a community event where people can actually walk through and get information. But then the second part will be like a dialogue between Bio will be there, the brokers will be there. We're hoping to have someone from DHS there. So, being planned as we speak. So when we get a flyer, we'll do a flyer for that and we'll put it out and we can share it with everyone here. My state support, Christy Nash is planning on visiting on September 19th. She will be at our agency. And if anyone would like to come by and meet her, I'm sure she'd be happy to.
She'll be there all day.
She will be there. July, I can't remember. I want to say at 10. I know she's going to be there at 10 until probably 2. Okay. She said.
I will try. Being there in school.
She will be there. We will have to chat. Part of my service with the High Country United Way, they are hosting days of service within the 4 counties that they serve. So Avery, Watauga, Mitchell, and Yancey support. And our day of service is the 14th of September. So myself and a couple of staff from the agency will be helping do a day of service. So it is for a lady in our community, and there are several tasks that we need to do to kind of help her. It's just a kind of giving back to the community. So that's the 14th of September from 10 to 2. And we still need some volunteers if anyone else is willing to help. And it is at home here in Springtown.
What day?
I want to say that's a Wednesday.
On September the 14th.
I also want to share that we at this year we were donated some money from the ARPA funds, and they let me say when was that, April? I think we first got word of it. In April, they started telling us about it, and then started talking about it on our statewide calls. So what it is they've shared these dollars with all 100 counties, and it is a one-time ARPA dollar amount that will go away June of 2023. And they set guidelines on how these funds could be used. And one of the things that we are looking at and really exploring is the possibility of a temp worker. My reasons for doing this would be, number one, would be no cost to the county at all. And actually with the energy program, the federal government supports 75% of that position. And then the county is responsible for 25% of that position. So these ARPA dollars would completely cover that 25% for the county. So no cost to the county at all.
It'd be like an interposition, no benefits.
No benefits, no.
How long were you thinking about having somebody in that spot?
Really just to get us kind of through the energy season, which would maybe begin like October, so maybe January, February. It really depends on how long these dollars last. And another reason why I was just thinking we're looking at it is that with the changes coming down for Medicaid workers, all of the waivers ending, the emergency waivers have been in place for the whole 2 years. they look for those to end. Again, they've been pushed back to October, so that's what it is right now. If they change it again, I think it'll probably be in January, but we'll see. So when they do that, that's going to increase the workload on the food and nutrition workers. And it will also increase the workload for our Medicaid staff with all of these changes. And we no longer have that person in the work first, or a new person who hasn't been trained. So to me, it would just be like to get us over this hump over here. And it would be, like I said, at no cost to the community. So I just kind of want to put that out there that
I guess we're thinking about what we can spend those ARPA funds on too.
there is, yeah, and I actually have a notice in that email, so you can share that with her. And I have that, in a letter if anyone wants to see it, but one of the areas it says, make investments in employees and infrastructure. And it also says explore opportunities to improve service delivery and access to vulnerable populations. So here again, this person, like with energy assistance, they could also do some outreach. With that as well.
So you just work till the money ran out.
Did they tell you how much you guys would be eligible for?
We received,
It's $26,131. It's built into this year's budget already.
But it is not, it's earmarked for specific things to kill.
Right. Subject to audit.
if we were able to do this, we would, of course, whoever that person is, it would be, will be hired for this. So just thinking about it, just want to let you know. Take on it.
Expect the energy system to be tough, it's a tough year. And so the fuel
Yeah,
costs.
they're already falling. So many families are already falling. And we've been on this, which we can do.
I hear a lot of them that natural gas on the skyrocket too. Everybody else is going to happen. For years.
Still haven't been told. I do have we have our meetings, those meetings, committee meetings that we do once a month. They're all dated, start at 8:30 in the morning and last until 4 tomorrow. And then I have one on Thursday too. So we may be hearing more about energy systems, and it would be great to hear, we would love to be hearing that they're going to increase the amount, but we haven't heard anything about that.
You see the numbers going up this year for assistance versus past years.
Absolutely.
And, this gets into a fine line. To meet the needs of all, if you could, is, have y'all thought about reducing the amount? Either the dollar amount or the gallon amount. To double the amount, does that make any sense? Spread it out a little bit more.
I think
If there's,
Yeah, it's just pretty.
if there's a $600 dollar amount or $400 amount for fuel oil. And this is where you would have to talk to your providers, because they're gonna have a minimum that, they're gonna set and deliver, but they're also gonna work with y'all, and that's been the case in the past. And I think years ago, when I sat on the DSS board, we ran into this same problem. And the money was leaving quicker. And not all the people, not all the elders, let me rephrase that. Seemed like they were left out of the mix. And I can remember the old DSS board, and this has probably been 6 years ago, talked about changing the actual amount instead of giving a family, these are hypothetical numbers, an example. Instead of a family getting $400, and us being able to serve example 30 families. Then we adjusted that amount. Where we reduced the amount they got, had more money to allot to more folks to try to service as many citizens as we could. And I know things have changed
That's good.
now from what it was back in the past, because back in the past, the deadlines, was 2 inches of oil or less in your tank at 32 degrees, and it blew my mind. That $67,000 or somewhere thereabouts was gone for lunch. But there's that many people that, had a situation. But what concerned me more was our elderly needs were not getting met. So because the time they came over to fill out the application, because they had to rely on public transportation, another way of transportation, all the money's gone. And our elderly didn't get any assistance.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah, and Jennifer Garland can answer better, but the criteria used to be
Yeah.
first frost. But that we found that was wrong, so they readjusted that. When it first opens, you must be elderly, you must have a doctor's note or reason, you must be in a crisis. And so now the elderly are getting served before just anybody at the door. So then it opens up later to anybody.
So you still have two pots of money. I know one pot of money came in sort of early and one pot of money came in
There's CIP.
right after the first of the year.
And it
Yeah,
seems,
yeah.
it seems like,
Leap and CIP.
Yeah.
it seems like there was some, maybe a little bit of heartburn about the two different pots calls. If you qualify for one, you automatically do the other one. Is that correct? 'Cause I know there was, yeah, and I've heard some heartburn about it.
I think that was for the automatically out payments that were going out.
And so
Yeah.
those ended automatic or you got flying in or?
Yeah, no, I think they're ended, as far as I know. Jennifer Garland is the expert on that. But, LEAT starts usually January 1st, and that's usually for the elderly too as well. There's SIP and LEAT, and then there's some other sub-programs. And I think she's limited, like what she can do in the system, Commissioner Hardy, as far as how much money she gives out. And I think the system is the one that makes those decisions.
Okay. Are you guys still, am I wrong in thinking that you guys are working with, the Senior Citizen Center?
Yeah.
Make sure.
but We've done one visit with them and we're getting spent on this.
Let me ask you another question, because I know in the past, this was the situation. And, I'm talking about in the past, so then you guys were involved. There were no guidelines for the providers. The providers did not know what the procedure was. And in the past, somebody is qualified to get heating assistance. They go fill the tank up. Y'all are located, or the department's located. They go out there and the tank's 90% full. So the delivery person puts another 10% in, comes back and they give that client a credit for the remainder. And there was a little bit of heartburn over that, Wendy, because the providers weren't sure how to handle the situation. So if this tank is full, we come back in here, does our driver notify the office? Office notifies DSS and say, you have someone else on your list because this person's tank is full. So I guess my question is, have y'all sent information out to the providers in the area that provide, or have you had a in-person meeting with them, instructing them on the procedures to follow on different situations if this were to occur?
I know Jennifer has met with providers or does meet with them
Mhm.
occasionally. I'm not sure if she has at this point in the year, but I know
Okay.
she does, and they actually signed a contract
Mhm.
with us. And they're actually this year, they have been entered into statewide portal. So in the past, and Amy can speak to this We, the county has had to even write the checks and mail them, and now the state will be funneling through the state to the providers, correct?
Yeah,
So there's part of that initial contract that they have to sign off on, some of these things before they're enrolled as a provider.
You know, and another one of the stories, and I'm recalling this, thinking back, that an individual was on the list to get assistance. And the agency or the provider was contacted to okay that, to find out that that person that Mitchell County was paying for no longer lived in Mitchell County. They had moved to another county.
And they should report that to us, and then our fraud investigator
Okay.
would be.
But that's just some of the, I don't want to call them horror stories, but stories and concerns and questions from possibly your fund that's supposed to help get used.
How many hours a week does our problem investigator work? Is he's not full time, is he full time? He's retired homicide detective, and
He is, he's actually our employee of the month tonight.
absolutely,
Yeah, recognized him. He was our fraud investigator.
yeah, he's honest.
The state has actually put, a lot of that, he can't even, the claims and stuff, yeah, he can't. Do
Put
it,
it through.
yeah, the freeze on what we can do right, with all these waivers and stuff. So that's something else on the waivers over to.
We do on this one thing here, this is not, I was curious. So you got a team that says they're not agreed to be doctor, so they've got somebody who's wanting to be a doctor and.
Are you moving on to the numbers?
Sorry, no, I was saying like Steve. I'm gonna hear all about this too, so I'm just reading, I don't understand you. Yeah, can you say, I'm just curious, why would. I guess why would they not want to be a doctor? Like, what's the? Is that normal? Is that, to me, that would be like the unnormal, like, looks like that everybody would want to get. A permanent home, I guess it depends on who's adopting you, maybe.
And here again, that was. I'm not,
You probably can't
Yeah.
say, yeah, no, you're,
as far as specifics too, I mean, Sean could answer that a lot. Could, answer that better for you, but, it's my understanding the age of that child plays into the reasons, and if they're, let's say they're close to being 18 to where they don't have to be.
Gotcha. gotcha,
They
so,
don't want to be.
yeah, so it's a, that's why I was curious of that age of the,
Yeah.
I think it's about 6 times.
so.
They may also, like, if they're not adopted, I would imagine they would qualify them for that assistance.
We-
Maybe not even.
Yeah, our links program.
Yeah, so I see, my two better scholarship.
Yeah.
So gotcha, so there's other factors there that. Gotcha, I just curious, I just seemed weird, I didn't know what the numbers are.
I'm guessing so yes, so. As Steve said, and looking at our numbers, so moving forward for Sean. So yes, I would try my best to answer any questions that you have. He has highlighted some things for age that he typically covers these for you when we meet. So, the total number of children in foster care, we do have an increase there to 31, and that is because there was a case transfer from another county. So that's why there's an increase there. Let's see, cleared for adoption, we have 2 more on appeal, that 8. So we're still at 8, but we're very close. As far as our homes licensed by Mitchell DSS, we lost one family because the family has chose to no longer, for reasons like medical kind of stuff, so they no longer are going to be able to accept any kiddos for a while, or at least for right now. And then we flip over to the next page, our CPS reports. As you see now that school is back, we're already seeing a number increase as far as reports. And approved in, we have 10 and 12 are still open. We do have some new in-home cases. Yeah. And if you jump down to our APS, you can also see that that number continues to rise. And we, as far as guardianship, we, did assume guardianship of one more person last week.
Yeah, we some guardianship of another person. Where we at now, guardianship?
16,
How many did we have all of last year, you know?
9.
We had 9 all of last year, and we already have 16 this year.
continues to grow.
It wouldn't be completely new, it would be in addition to the 9 we already have.
Yeah, 7. And then we have 80 work first cases. And as far as, oh, sorry, that's our subsidy. We have 80 cases, or 80 children that we're serving for subsidy.
Do we have 80 spots for that many kids in the county? And that seems like, I have a hard time believing we have that many spots in daycare here.
And we're serving, and the work first and imaging assistance, we have, as far as emergency assistance, we have 4, and ongoing child only, that's their 7. We haven't been any change in that since July. And I'll just give a few more updates, and then I'm gonna get out of the way and gladly let Tammy do her budget. I wanted to share that we did do a subsidy audit on the 30th, and so far we're the only county that's passed across the state. So I'm very proud of Shannon and those folks that are working. So I think we had to get a 95% to pass that audit, and we got a 95.15. So we passed. I also met with a Medicaid consultant this week. Our state folks are just now beginning to actually come into the office again. So much of it has been virtual, and they're actually coming into the agency. I met with her on the 19th of August, and that also is going well. We're 100% timeliness on our reports. The child support is doing great. They're continuing to meet their goals. We were actually recognized at the Child Support State Conference last week. Mitchell County was recognized for meeting their goals for the year. APS tends to, I did their review also, and they're at 100% for timeliness. Also met with the CPS consultant on the 29th. He still continues to be very positive of our child protective unit and what we're doing there. And we also completed another 4 audits, and we passed the audit. So I just wanted to share that news. And our work first timeliness, we had a call there, and we're at 100% timeliness there too. So I just really want to say that's crazy. Good work. Any further questions for me?
I hate to put you on the spot. You know, the number that, and I'm sure there's a very good reason for it, but when we start talking about the number of foster children placed out of Mitchell County, 24 compared to 7 in the county now, is that because we don't have beds, or they fall under a different realm?
They fall under a different brand. Most of them are older, our teenage population with higher need. Were you gonna say something, Harley?
No, go ahead. You finish what you're saying.
I was just gonna say that a lot of those are therapeutic foster care homes, and we do not have any therapeutic foster homes.
And I think part of that, we talked about this a lot up there about our needs. And so when we were super heavy in kids in custody, 2016, that's not right.
We had 97.
All those kids went out in the placements. We didn't have homes if you're from here. And so like if we pulled them out and brought them back, it'd be,
Disrupt their.
yeah, I mean, like if you, they've been in the hostel, you've been across one for 6 years. Also, they kind of say it's, hey, we found you a home, you know, back in Spruce Pine. Probably the one would blow up. I think,
A little bit.
as those kids age out, I think that number would drastically fall off. We really kind of trouble that area, I guess for lack of a better word, a lot. And Sean, I don't want to steal Sean's stuff. Sean's working on some things, I think,
Yeah.
address that issue.
I mean, it's like, yeah, with, some other counties. To look at, buildings.
It's good. But I do think it's a problem to grow out of this. Sean described, I thought you guys have done a really good job. He said he described it as like a ripple, like a little rock in a pond. It would take a while for the pond to speed out. It was a boulder. So he was on in 2016.
So I think at one time, we had 18 or 22 children that crossed the street. And we were, after the state paid what they were paying, I think it was $4,700 a month. We were absorbing almost 3,000 a month per child. So you were looking at $70,000 to $80,000 a month, so Mitchell County was paying.
Part of that, the changes were made to that tailored plan. I'm sure the Brandon can speak more to that too. They're actually looking at increasing, the rate of paying actually therapeutic foster parents as an incentive to try to increase more of our local therapeutic.
And Dustin will be here tonight. That is correct. They're trying to incentivize these folks to kind of go into that realm and take, and get some more
Training.
needed.
But we have to bring the training in from outside because if I understood it correctly, we're not equipped.
Correct. That's
All for the
one thing,
training.
yeah, that DSS does not do that statewide. It's not just that.
Okay.
Yeah, there has to be, there's, I think Black Mountain does that, so.
It's like some providers on the,
And they could train them, like our families could have training in them,
Okay.
and then they could place children.
Thank you.
Good money.
Good news.
Yeah, very good news. Yeah.
I wanted to give you, including with your handout for this month, I wanted to give you sort of an annual report for, not sort of, an annual report for last year. Since I've been reporting to you all year long, I wanted to wrap it up into one final report. You can see this encompasses all of the reports and, that I get from Natus, to include expenditures and revenues for the year 21-22. And if you look at it on the first page, this is what I'm looking at. Now, you've seen this before. We used to give it out monthly, but it's just better to give it out at the end of the year so you can see the whole year. If you look at our expenditures, I'm really excited to report that we're coming in under expenditures by 4.26%. So you see that on the first page. And then on the second page, you see our revenues. All year long, I've been saying revenues will catch up, but we're behind on revenues. Well, we've caught up. As of 8/31, everything that was last year has been posted to the books, so this includes all of that revenue that came in. So we're at a little over 5% on our revenues. So that's good.
So it's 4% under budget and 5% over revenue. So
Right.
we
So-
we essentially say 9% there.
There's my 10%. I was looking for it.
I'll round up. That's good.
So to put that in dollars, put that in dollars for you, we came under expenses by a little over 182,000. We came over revenues by a little over 116,000. So that totals, we saved almost $300,000 by pulling down where we could have across the board, everybody playing together as a team. So I'm excited to bring that before you this evening. It's real exciting news for us.
And you should be all the personal privilege. I know a lot of it has to do with the work that's been done up there to make sure we're coding right. And, I know that you specifically, went up, headed up a lot of that. We really appreciate that hard work.
I've been a police officer up there, kind of overcoming, yes, I have. But the staff's been great and cooperative and learning for us to save enough county dollar too. And the team is great that I work with that are directly under me. They've helped me too. And Sean, of course, managing the program dollars. So it's all of us together. And I think we're just at a really good place and this shows. So this year's report shows.
I mean, I think it speaks volumes. I think our quality of the product we deliver is better and we're doing it cheaper. You can't ask much more than that.
The healing homes, I think. So last month you had some questions about, when I came in here, I did a quick July update for you. I sent you an email about that, and in that July report, we had some stuff that we had to build back into this year, so that's why there were some questions that came up. One of them was that computer account hit 20% right out of the gate. That was a legitimate cost, and I always wanted to address that email that I sent you, Brandon, regarding that. So what happened with that account is we have a yearly fee that we pay right out of the gate for the start of the fiscal year. That does, that where we report all that coding. It's our day sheet program. So we pay that annually. So it hit the books July 1. So that's why that number was 20% right out of the gate. And then there was some questions about the retirement. And my answer I asked Mavis about that. We have budgeted 80,000, but we may go over that. And if that's based on the number of retirees we have right now, and I think it's 21 out of DSS. And then the rate of what that cost is different for each one of those. Yeah. But if I can't answer you, I'd like to go back and find the answer. So I can give you a clear.
I appreciate that.
So coming out of August, we should be at 16% expenditures. We're at 13. Kind of early to celebrate that. And at revenues, we're barely have any because we're 2 months behind. We have $193,000 in revenue sitting there waiting to be posted in September that we brought down from July costs. But really, there's not really much to report. We're still early. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your meeting.
Maybe to be done safe.
Hey, that's impressive, man, especially looking at some of the last few, that's really impressive.
I forgot where we're at. It's such good news. I guess there's a closed session where we're at. Do we have need for closed session? Board comments, Commissioner Harding.
Guys, I probably said this same statement for several months now. Good job. Kind of what y'all are doing. I think it certainly warms my heart and everybody else's heart with the positive changes. So, good job.
Mr. Gostin.
Kudos on the job well done. Thank you.
Commissioner Bill.
Good job, guys.
And I was taking a moment, I'd like to thank Lori Gilchrist. She's been really advocating hard to help the assessment question. We definitely appreciate the work she's done for us there. So, pro bono, I might add. I'll entertain most of adjourn.
No.
Thank you.